there, welcome back to my channel. And hey, if you are new here, hi, I am April and welcome to the family. I hope that you will subscribe and continue to stay a while. Well, I have to say, I apologize first off. If you have been catching up on my 90-day review and recaps and my not so humble opinions, well, I was on a roll there, and then I decided a few days ago it'd be a good idea to take out my knee. Yes. So, I mean, you know, I'm feeling much better now. It's still a bit of a slow going for recuperating. But yeah, it was not a fun time these last few days. Actually, it was horrific in the moment. I mean, my knee just went out on me, and yeah, that was that. But I'm excited to be back. I am here with you. I am so excited to get into another 90-day recap. So I'm glad that you are here. And I said we just go ahead and get into it. Now, because I didn't get a chance to finish up the previous week's episode that aired on November 27th, I had broke out 3 separate videos for 3 of the couples that are already on the platform. So if you hadn't had a chance to take a look at those, go ahead and do so. And definitely please give it a like, because I would love for it to get shared amongst many people and we all just talk about it when we get together for these 90-day recaps and reviews. So definitely, you know, I hope that you do get a chance to take a look at those. Now, what I needed to do, since I had planned on doing it earlier, was to go ahead and wrap up the rest of the couples from that episode. But because I got injured, it didn't work out so well. So I thought, well, you know what? There was a lot of good stuff that happened on that episode with the other couples, and I wanted to talk with it with you guys. So hopefully you will be cool with that. So we're going to do pretty much a couples roundup for those remaining couples for the November 27th episode, and then I will have my next video will be for this past week's episode, which is the most current one that just aired on December 4th. And I'm also going to be separating those out, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on at the end of this video. So for that, basically we're going to be talking about Ed and Liz, and Yara and Jovi, and Michael and Angela. So yeah, let's just go ahead and go on and get into it. So starting off basically with, let's go with Ed and Liz. Well, we all know that Ed and Liz are visiting Ed's family in Arkansas, right? And so far, so good. Things have been going really well with those that she's already met as far as family members are concerned. So that was a bit of a relief for me, especially because if you remember, I had shared a couple of episodes ago, a couple of weeks ago, that I was, you know, really kind of tired of all of the vitriol going towards Liz as if Ed was some type of a victim, and we all know Ed is not a victim. So it was nice to see them being very pleasant with her and very welcoming with her, because Ed is a whole grown man out here and there's just really no need for it to be any other way. So, you know, it was really nice so far. Everything's been going really well. Now, you remember that in this episode, they were actually supposed to be doing a number 2 engagement party. I don't want to call it quite a do-over, because both engagement parties end up being really nice. It's just that the first one ended in complete disaster, but it didn't mean it wasn't going well throughout the rest of the time. So, you know, it's one of those things, you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? So they're doing a part 2. This gives an opportunity, of course, for the family to spend some time with Ed and Liz, to get to know them a little bit. Because remember, this is the first time that they're actually meeting Liz, but it doesn't necessarily mean they didn't know about Liz, right? So, but this is, I think, the first time they've met face to face. So rightfully so, Liz has been a little nervous about it, but you know, she's really a trooper though. She's hanging in there, and I really like that. Sometimes you just got to get into the deep water there and just do what you need to do, right? You're either going to sink or swim, and I think that Liz is choosing to get in there and swim. So I was proud of her. So basically, we start off with that episode for them, with them getting ready for the second party. And yeah, it was really nice. And, you know, they get dressed, and I think that they look, both of them, very nicely. I really like the dress that Liz was wearing. I thought it was really pretty. And the actual location for their number 2 party was in a castle. So that was a really nice twist, right? Really, really nice. And Ed shared that his family had did really well in real estate in Arkansas. So this was, obviously something that may have been slightly expected, that it would be this kind of glam type of location. And so I'm glad they got a chance to do that. It was a really nice, classy way to do a party for Liz. I really think that was a really nice way to just kind of go about it. So of course they enter in the room, and there's all these people, because like Ed has a really huge family on his Arkansas side. And it was really, really nice to see just how friendly everybody was, because quite frankly, I didn't know how that was going to go myself. But they seemed to be really friendly, very open. Ed has a lot of nieces, and pretty much all of them are around Liz's age, so it was perfect, I thought. But yeah, Liz had said that she had made a pact with Ed, and Ed had promised that he wasn't going to just walk off and wander once they get to a party. Like, don't you hate that? If you go someplace with someone, especially if you're like on a date kind of situation, or with your partner or something like that, and they're more familiar with the people that are going to be at that location than you are, and so you kind of just ask them to just kind of hang with you for a little bit till you get a little bit acclimated and comfortable, and then you can go and get lost for hours on end. And then it turns out as soon as they walk in, after they've promised they're going to do that, they walk in, and next thing you know, they're gone in like 2 minutes, and then you're just sitting like, what the heck, and I don't know anybody. So yeah, it was pretty funny how he said, yeah, sure. And I think as soon as she said that that's what he stated he would do, I said, that's not going to work. Because Ed is such a social butterfly, he's going to get caught up and carried away. Because that's what Ed does. He gets caught up and carried away. So this event was no different, right? He gets in, he sees the family, everybody is just hugging, and it was just a really nice thing. He had one of his brothers there, and there's just so much family there. So of course, he gets caught up and carried away. And Liz was kind of sitting off a little bit to the side. People were speaking to her and everything, and it was a little bit choppy conversation, but nevertheless, she did at least speak, and they seemed to be really warm, and that would be the nieces, and just kind of getting to know her a little bit, and gave her a hug and everything. And yeah, I really thought that they did a really nice job at kind of getting her and keeping her at ease. So, of course, it was really nice to see Ed with one of his brothers, and him and his brother got to talk a little bit. And his brother had actually shared with us, if you may recall, that, Ed's mother, their mother, had said really nice things about Liz. That basically she was like a lovely person. So I was a little perplexed by that, but I'm not surprised by it, because we all know that Ed is a whole mess most of the time. We know this already. Ed will tell you that he is, and he knows this, right? So I think, and I felt that there probably was something else going on. There was more going on, and I might have shared that I felt like there was more behind the scenes there. Like, this could not just be about Liz. It just didn't make a lot of sense. I mean, I can get being a little bit upset about certain transgressions that happened, the back and forth, the constant breakups, the drama associated with that. But again, Ed is a grown man, and this is what Ed's brother says to us, right? He shares with us, look, he's a grown man. So at the end of the day, they'll work this out, and hopefully they will work it out. But Ed needs to do what he needs to do, and I think it will be fine. So I really appreciated that, because, he was saying what I think a lot of us felt already. Ed's a grown man, and he's going to make his decisions, and that's that. So, why are we all in a tizzy about this? But yeah, so that was really nice and kind of a surprising conversation, but I wasn't surprised about the fact that his mother did not have anything other than nice things to say, because, his mother seems like a very nice, lovely lady herself. So I really think there's a little bit more going on there than just the Liz situation. And maybe we'll find out more. Hopefully we'll find out before the season's out, if they can find some time to get together. But yeah, so that was a nice conversation to hear. And then of course we start moseying ourselves on to where Liz is speaking to the ladies, and Liz is really, really nervous, and she shares that she's nervous. She also shares, once they go and sit down, which was really funny, that I've never been around so many women at one time. So she was a little jarred, but again, I think they were really kind with her, really sweet with her. Christine, Ed's sister, which they're not staying with him, I don't think, but they at least visited him the first night. And Christine's kind of the cruise director of this whole entire visit, she made sure to sit right next to Liz on the couch. And I thought that was really, really touching. That's like a real nice sign of someone who actually has empathy and cares about you, because she knows she's nervous and she wants to show her support. And it also puts everybody else at ease too, that, kind of like, well, hey, if Aunt Christine thinks she's okay, then she must be okay. And so I appreciated that mothering type of big sistery role that Christine had played in that moment with Liz. And I think that helped Liz when she was in that conversation. So yeah, that was a really good thing, I thought. Now, of course, Liz does ask Christine, and pretty much an open forum, about Ed's mother and, his daughter, and if they were invited to the party, she would have liked to have seen them. Even though I know she would have been nervous about it, she would have enjoyed them being there, because, even though the family members that are at the extended level are seeming to be extremely accepting of Liz and Ed's relationship, very kind to her, very open to her, she really does feel deep in her heart that if his mother and his daughter doesn't come on board, then Ed may not move forward with getting married to Liz. So that is still a concern, and we'll see how things unfold as the season continues on. But we don't know if it's going to be a situation where Ed is going to have to make a choice, because Ed does, share about the fact that he kind of did make a choice. And the fact that, look, his mother, if you remember, like last season, I think at least the last 2 seasons, Ed and his mother were living together at Ed's house in San Diego. And so she felt put out by, Liz moving in. And I don't necessarily, again, think that's all Liz's fault. I have a funny feeling that, how Ed moves is not always the most smoothest of ways. And it probably put a lot of people on edge. And Ed seems the type to me, well, he's given examples for that he'll cut you off right away, right? If you're not kind of on his level of what he thinks you should be thinking or feeling about something, he's just going to cut you off. And I kind of feel there was some of that, because he gave a bit of an ultimatum to his mother in a sense of like, if you guys are not going to be able to, accept Liz and accept me and Liz and whatever have you, then I'm going to have to choose Liz. So there was that was brought into the situation. And at the end of the day, Liz and Ed argue all the time. They argue when it's just us watching them. So they were arguing a lot with the mother there. And it could have been just as simple as her saying, look, you guys got to stop all this hollering. I need my peace, right? And so if she is feeling unsettled because of the things that they're arguing about, or it's just getting so catty and so silly because of the different situations that both of them bring to the table, I can see why his mother would be like, look, I'm out of here. This is not working. And y'all need to really work your stuff out. So yeah, there's definitely more there. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do you think that there's more going on? I mean, do you think that it's just Liz? If so, fine, that's great. I mean, hey, I'm open to that, but I just don't think that's the case. But, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Let's have a conversation about that, because I would really like to know what you think about that. Do you think that, his mother has got a little bit more in her thought process as to why she's not necessarily openly accepting this relationship? I just, again, don't think it's only Liz. And so, of course, Christine shares that, I did not actually formally invite them just because of how things are going. Christine later does share that she doesn't want to get in the middle of that situation, but I feel like she's building a bridge from the outside in. And I think that's a very classy way to stay when it comes to family matters that you're not directly involved in. And so I think she's playing that chess game really well. I really do. And it becomes very authentic. And look, she's not dealing with the stress, okay? Because Ed is in San Diego, okay? They're in Arkansas living their life and doing what they need to do. They don't need to be stressed about what Ed's doing 2-3 states over, 4 or 5 states over, however far it is. Many states over. But you get the gist. I mean, who needs to be worried about what's going on over there in Cali when I'm over here got to worry about my day-to-day here in Arkansas? So it's a really good, smooth way of handling things. And you don't become any kind of enemy to anybody. So I appreciated Christine's take on things. I mean, she's so reasonable, right? It's such a nice balance. And I love a balance. So yeah, that's definitely how that sums up. And it's also good that she shared that. And I'm glad Liz had actually asked her that, because it still shows she cares about their thought, their feelings, and really cares about them bridging this divide that there is, so that way she can feel comfortable as well in marrying Ed, and Ed not, having it held over him that his family, two important individuals of his family, is not supportive of his decision to marry Liz. So I think it was really good that conversation was had, and I think it probably worked out for the best. It wasn't so awkward. It really did, I believe, relieve Liz of a whole lot of pressure, so that way she could just enjoy herself and be herself, and not have to worry about comments being made about her. Because I think that Ed's daughter had made some comments in some setting with some of her friends when they were in Vegas a season or two ago, and it was really just unfortunate that that's what was going on, and that's just not something we need. I mean, we're all grown, let's just try to do what we need to do to get through the conversation without all of that. It's just not helpful. This is my thoughts, but yeah, I think it was actually a good thing that if they're going to bring them back into the fold, let it be in a different setting, not in this one, so that way each person gets an opportunity to meet Liz for themselves without the heaviness of someone cutting her eyes or having something unflattering to say about her. Because Liz, look, she's doing the best she can. Okay, at the end of the day, she is doing the absolute best she can. Ed cannot be an easy partner. Ed tells you he's not an easy person, so I appreciate that transparency from him, even if he's not always transparent in other ways. But at the end of the day, look, they're just trying to work it out. It's just two lovebirds trying to work it out. So nevertheless, that party seemed to go off really well. There was a lot of nice moments there. I was very happy about how things transpired, and I was really happy about how open everybody was. So yeah, were you surprised about that? Let me know down below if you were surprised at how open everybody was to Liz even, and to Ed and Liz in their nuptials to be. I was surprised. So yeah, and then from that point we move on to what would be the next day, I believe, and their last day in Arkansas, and they decided we need to get out one more time. So after the evening of the wonderful festivities of the party, Ed and Liz at the time did thank everybody for giving that party and being there and their support and everything, and how much that meant to them. It was really, really good. They showed affection at that party as well. So that was nice too. So it's legit, and it is what it is, right? So yeah, everybody's having a hunky-dory good time. So again, we move on to the next day, and again, the last day. And, they talk about it when they're waking up in the morning, Liz and Ed, about how much fun they had, because they really did have a good time. And yeah, they were just trying to decide what they were going to do for the rest of the day. And so Ed and Liz decided, we're going to go four-wheeling. And of course, I think that was more Ed's idea, so that's the stuff that they do out in the country. But it was really funny, because you would think that Liz was much more comfortable, because Ed was a bit of a scaredy cat. I don't know. I expected him to be a little bit more, macho man in this truck, which really wasn't a truck, right? It's like a dune buggy or something like that. Four-wheeler dune buggy, I guess. I don't know. I'm not really into it myself, but it seemed like it was a lot of fun. And Liz was getting into it. So that's one thing I liked about Liz as well during this time. Sometimes the whining and the crying and stuff kind of gets on my nerves. But, again, I understand, it is an emotional situation to deal with. But it's nice to see her having fun and enjoying herself and kind of getting in there. And I can appreciate that. So, she took the time, she got out there, she participated. And what more can you ask, right? And she was even doing more than what Ed was doing as far as that was concerned. So, and she was the one that was under the spotlight. So at the end of the day, I think it was wonderful. I enjoyed it. It was a great episode for Liz and Ed. But basically, they wrapped up that short bout of time with the forerunning, because Ed just couldn't take it anymore, and they meet up with Ed's sister and I believe his niece and brother-in-law, because they were there with them, and they enjoyed their time too. And they basically just kind of wrapping up the visits and just sharing how much fun it was. And and again, Christine, which I really liked her, she was the MVP for me for this episode when it came to them, because she really wanted to make sure that Liz was good, that she was comfortable. She even asked her if she how she felt. Was it good? And of course, Liz was like, absolutely, I enjoyed it. Ed, also mirrored the fact that, yeah, she really, really enjoyed it. So, yeah, it was really nice. And I was happy. It was so stress-free. So, yeah, I'm glad that worked out for them, because Ed could be a bit of a pill at times. But hey, look, Ed tells us that. He knows he's a pill. He absolutely knows that he is. So, yeah. So what did you guys think about Ed and Liz and the whole kit and caboodle? I mean, did you think that dinner, or not dinner, the party was a little awkward? Did you think it was fun? I mean, I enjoyed it. So let's let me know your thoughts about Ed and Liz and just how the episode went for that evening. So I think that kind of wraps it up for that part of the episode, and we'll just go mosey on down to my next favorite set of couples, Yara and Jovi. Yeah. So Yara and Jovi and everybody in tow, Talmadge and Mila and mother-in-law too, all arrive in Germany. How beautiful, how fun. They get there and Yara's excited. And quite frankly, I was excited to see a little bit this too, because if you might have remembered, I might have shared this, I don't know. My family was in the military, and I was in the military myself as well, so I pretty much grew up all in the military for many, many years of my life. And we were stationed in Germany. I actually enlisted from Germany. So it was really nice for me to kind of go down memory lane for my own self. Germany is a beautiful place. There's so many things to see. I love traveling. I wish I could get back to doing that much traveling again, because, you know, it's like one of those things that you never know how much you're going to miss it until you're not doing it. But yeah, so it was just really nice. And a lot of what I saw there just reminded me of a lot of the fun times that I had when I was there. So yeah, it's Germany holds a special place for me, for a lot of good things that happened in my life during that time. It was a really good season for me, and for a lot of different reasons, and a lot of major life changes that happened there. So yeah, I will always have fond memories of my time in Germany. So yeah, that was really nice to see that. So yeah, this is like, you know, stomping grounds for me too. But yeah, they get down to the town. I don't remember the name of the town at the moment, but they're there. It's beautiful, very picturesque, and they meet up at the hotel. And of course, Yara is super excited to meet up with Karina. So, you know, she's like, hey, Jovi, go ahead and take Mila and the rest of the family, get yourself settled in the hotel room. I'm going to get here and meet her. So Karina looks to be coming to the hotel, and you know, he's like, oh, okay, right now? We're doing this now? I'm like, yes, of course. Take the baby. Bye. Jovi, bye. So yeah, sometimes I swear Jovi forgets why they're there. But anyways, so, you know, they go into the elevator and everything, and Yara's able to, you know, kind of just get ready for Karina. Karina walks in, and of course, it's just a blissful, joyous welcome. It was so nice to see Yara smiling and so happy because of all the seriousness that's going on in her home country of Ukraine. It was just a wonderful opportunity for her to see her best friend in the flesh alive. So yeah, it was really, really very special for her. And, you know, they teared up a little bit. They're extremely excited to see each other. You know, Yara mentioned that it was Karina that actually dropped her off at the airport before, or while she was actually getting ready to go to the States. I don't know which go around, maybe the one they were doing the 90-day part to get married. And she had looked at Karina and said, hey, look, I'm going to be back in 3 or 4 months. You know, girl, don't worry about it. Yeah, I'll see you then. Well, 3 or 4 months turns into 2.5 years. So there's a lot of emotion there. And of course, with everything going on as well externally to the situation, it just was really nice for them to see each other and touch base, because really that's what they were there for, right? This whole visit was about Yara being able to see her mother and her best friend and as many friends, like I said, she could, and be of help to them during this time. So it was really, really precious for them to get together, and it was precious to see that. So yeah, I appreciated to see that as well. It was really nice. So, you know, they get to talking and everything, and just, you know, how you've been doing, you know, the normal chit chat, getting, you know, reacquainted again type of thing. And of course, Karina is excited to meet Mila because she hasn't met her yet. So yeah, you know, it's pretty bittersweet, I'm sure, on some fronts, right? But yeah, so she's really excited about that. They're kind of talking and just enjoying each other's company and just referencing about those times, reflecting on those good old times and just how tight they were as friends. And so it was a really lovely introduction for us, as well as for them to be reintroduced to each other and reacquainted again. So then we move on into them deciding to go to breakfast. And so everybody's going to meet up now. This gives Karina opportunities to see Jovi again, and to also, you know, her mother and I guess Talmadge is the only one that she hasn't seen, and then Mila as well. So yeah, that was really nice to kind of just everybody get together, a nice little breakfast spot. And of course, Jovi, in his Jovi fashion, decides, I'm going to order a beer, because in Germany you can have beer all the time. And of course, everyone's looking at each other, including the waitress that looks at him and is like, a beer? You know, because it's morning, breakfast time. He's like, yeah, a beer. Like, what? You know, So yeah, that was kind of funny. They kind of went back and forth. I think Yara was a little annoyed and embarrassed at the same time, but it is what it is. Because you remember, Yara talks often about Jovi and his beer drinking, so she wasn't too thrilled about that, but it is what it is. So I think he was double fisting it with a beer and something else, and because Karina had made a comment about that. But yeah, it was a little odd for everybody around, even those who are more native to the area. But that's Jovi being a tourist. Anyways, I would have to say during this last few episodes, Jovi just seems extremely uncomfortable. Do you guys think that? I mean, he just seems so uptight and so blustered in because I guess, he feels his world is about to fall apart with Yara deciding that she doesn't want anything to do with coming back anytime soon. And so he really is, showing that very much outwardly. And it's almost torturous to watch. But, he's hanging in there, but it really is by a thread. So, of course, they're having breakfast. They get started. Everything seems to be going okay. And they're talking and enjoying one another. And then Karina starts in their native language, speaking to Karina and asking her basically, when is she going to be leaving? And this really, really infuriates Jovi, right? I mean, he just cannot stand when Karina and whoever she's with starts speaking in her native language because he can't understand it. And so he gets upset. He's like, stop doing that. What are you talking about? And I think he got a little bit defensive, quite frankly. I think he could have chilled out a little bit. It wasn't a good look, Jovi, not a good look. But, this is what happens when you're on the edge. So Jovi, basically is just, in a sense, in his tone, demanding for them to talk about what it is. And of course, Karina and Yara just like, yeah, we're just talking to see about, how long she's going to be here and, whatever. So of course, Jovi's like, oh my God, here we go again with this already. I thought we'd already talked about this. Why is this being brought up again? And of course, he's doing all of this performative stuff right in front of Yara's mother, which I think was, a bit rude. But, of course, he's losing it. This is what happens when you're losing it, I guess. And, she's staying quiet, just listening to everything unfold, because I really do think that she understands a lot more than she may speak, but I think she understands exactly what's going on. And her mother's intuition is probably going all the way around that room. But yeah, it was just a little bit, come on, Joey, like just breathe a little bit. It's fine. I think, honestly, Talon didn't seem like he was doing much talking. And I thought that was kind of nice. Because you remember I said that the last time they kind of got together, it didn't really go so well. Well, the last couple of times, the car ride and also the first meet when they were at that nice little restaurant in Czech. It didn't go so well. And I think Talon did a little bit too much interjecting himself in a conversation that really had nothing to do with him. Maybe he learned his lesson. I don't know. Sometimes you just stay out of married folks' business, I guess, at this point. But nevertheless, yeah, he stayed quiet, and I appreciated that. It was Karina's turn in the hot seat of conversations for Jovi, and yeah, he wasn't too thrilled. So, again, he's like, I thought we talked about this, basically, I'm going to be going, you're going to be going. I think Talmadge did step in, though, to basically share about the fact that, yeah, I mean, this is your family, this is your immediate family, so you should be doing what they're doing, and yada, 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 whatever he was saying. And, of course, at the same time, in a sense, Jovi's basically saying Yara's selfish, and Yara's saying that Jovi's being selfish, because Yara doesn't understand at the end of the day, you're going to go to work, you're going to be gone for 3 to 4 weeks, you're going to be out of country or wherever you are, and I'm going to be here at home doing nothing when I could be out here helping my family, friends, and whoever needs it. And that's what I'd rather be doing. So, Jovi's just not seeing it that way, right? He's just, all he is really focused on, and I do mean hyper-focused, is that his woman is not coming back to the United States. And that's really, really messing with him. And I have to say this about Jovi and Yara, and just past episodes in my observation. Look, one thing that I felt, I seen and I felt about Yara and Jovi is Yara really sharing a lot about things that did not make her happy, in the States, where they lived, being too close to the partying scene, Jovi doing too much partying, not being around. It would just seem to always be an issue. And, she was expressing the way she felt. She's talked to Jovi's mother about this, and there was times where Jovi's mother actually agreed on how she felt and was very empathetic to her feelings and her thoughts, because at the end of the day, Jovi, you're now married, you're a husband, and there's certain things that you need to remember that you have to do if you want to keep this relationship going, right? I mean, at the end of the day, Yara is leaving her family, her friends, and everything she knows to go into a country she's never lived in before, and everything is all encompassed with the family, with him and his family, and she's got to really ingratiate herself into that, and that can be difficult, especially if you're not used to traveling and living abroad and all of those types of things from early on. Like myself, I have been traveling and moving to different locations since I was a kid, but at least I was with my family in tow, right? I didn't have to leave my family at a young age like that and come back and forth and all that kind of stuff. So there's a certain sympathies that should be had for the person who's making that huge move to the States. And then, she's not really too thrilled about where she's living either. So at the end of the day, all of those things accumulated together just makes her very unhappy. And she shared this, and I always felt like Jovi kind of just brushed her off. He just kind of just made it like it's no big deal, whatever, you're fine, whatever, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. And now the chickens are coming home to roost, I think. I think now he's starting to see, look, Yara's and told you over and over again she was not that thrilled. And maybe if certain things had been changed to tweak some of the behaviors that she was complaining about, maybe she wouldn't feel so connected to leaving and being gone. Or maybe she would be, but they would be in a better place relationship-wise to where he would feel a little bit okay with her being gone for a couple of weeks or so. I know his concern is about her safety, and it's understandable. It would be that concern regardless if it was what was going on or not. They're going to be very far away from each other and such. And so he really is connected to, I want us to stay together as that pod, but it can come across as being controlling. And Yara's already told him, I don't know how many times, that she is a grown woman and she can make the decision she wants to make. So yeah, I think that at this point, Jovi is really kind of faced with some of the comments and the things that have been shared with him, the whole strip club thing that happened last season or season and a half or whatever it was when they were on, and all of that, and it just was not working with her and not working for her. And so yeah, I think that he is now feeling that a bit. I don't know. What's your thoughts about that? Tell me down below, because I'd like to know if you think that, Jovi's really coming from a place of insecurity and concern, because this is what happens when you don't water all the way what you need to in that area of a relationship, because what ends up happening is you start looking elsewhere. So in whatever fashion. Now, of course, Yara is saying, I'm not going to leave you, I just want to do this. But I do feel, and Yara does talk about that, you keep on pressuring her to do the thing that she really clearly doesn't want to do. She's just going to end up digging her heels in deeper. And of course, Jovi wants to share often that he thinks it's the influence of her mother, and now the influence of her mother and Karina. And like I said before, I don't think this is all her mother, and I don't think it's all Karina. I don't think it's anything Karina. I think Yara already came initially, maybe didn't talk a lot about it, or maybe she did and Jovi just wasn't listening. But I feel like she had already felt that this was what she wanted to do, and just them agreeing to her doing it and being excited for her doing it is really all you're looking at. But she's not being, constantly come at about staying. I just don't see that. I really do feel that the leading force in this is Yara. And so there you have it, Jovi. This is why you should listen to your partner when they're telling you they're not happy about things, and come to a consensus that's workable, so you can maybe feel like you're in a more secured spot when you're put in a situation such as this. Because this is always going to be a threat, right? I mean, anytime Yara decides to go home and visit or do anything outside of the United States, this is always going to be an issue. How much time you're going to be gone? What are you going to be doing? Where are you going to be? It's always going to be an issue. So yeah, I just think that Jovi is now in a position where he's having to deal with that a little bit, and he's scared as all get out. Like, have y'all seen him? I think he's like really tightly wound for being abroad. Even with the situation that's going on, he does not seem like he's relaxing at all, and it's unfortunate, but this is where we're at. So that's where we're going with on that. And so the breakfast really to me was getting to be on the borderline of being ruined, because he's just not having it. They're kind of going back and forth about it. She doesn't understand, and then of course she now she's dragging her mother into it because her mother looks, she's about to start crying, and just like, please, Jovi, and it's just how she's pleading with him, please, and he's just like, not now, I'm just like, oh my God, I mean, this is so awkward. But yeah, so that's kind of how it really imploded somewhat for breakfast. I'm pretty sure that, we didn't see them walking out of there, but I don't think it was a very jovial type of conversation going on. But yeah, so that's what was that. But I just think that at this point, Jovi has got to chill out some, and they're gonna have to come to some compromise, because the bottom line is, irregardless of what he feels, which I know that's hard to hear, but irregardless of what he feels, she feels strikingly different from him. So they're gonna have to come up with some compromise, and I don't think it's gonna be a compromise of him getting his way. 100%. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I guess we'll see as time will tell throughout the rest of the season. But yeah, so that's how we kind of wrap up the dreaded breakfast, because we can never seem to have a meal or any kind of outing with fun other than Ed and Liz's second party. So yeah, that was that. I take that back. That was nice. So lastly, we are then going to move over into the territory of Michael and Angela. Yes, Michael and Angela. Okay, so Michael and Angela. Michael decides to have a really nice tryst, romantic tryst with Angela, and it's going to be a romantic tryst in the pool of the hotel. I believe it's the hotel they're saying. Yes, it is. And yeah, so I think he had some treats there. They had drinks there and swimming, so it was really nice. Angela felt beautiful. She felt just so relaxed, and just, this is what she was talking about. She needed this kind of loving from her husband. And yeah, Michael certainly keeps having a good time too. If you remember, before Angela came and basically ascended in Nigeria, he had managed to take some time to have a swimming lesson, and in that swimming lesson, it was just one time, but apparently he was like a fish in water now. I mean, he was swimming from the side to the other side, and I mean, just having a grand old time. So yeah, that Michael boy, he's a quick learner, isn't he? So yeah, it was really nice to see that. I was excited. He was enjoying himself, and they were just really relaxing. There was no arguing going on. They were getting along. This is like So Sans first season, maybe, before the arguing, the cake throwing and all that, but let's not go back there. Let's not do that. Oh my God, let's not do that. So anyway, so yeah, they're having a good time, kind of just talking to each other and just really enjoying. This is what they've been needing. This was all they needed, and the closeness was really, really well deserved. So they decide, that they're going to pop out of the pool, talk a little bit. Michael has a nice little gift. It's a pretty bracelet. Elizabeth, Angela was so excited about that. And yeah, she was just all canoodling in love. And yeah, it was working. So Michael's romantic tryst idea was a good one. So good on you, Michael. You did a good job here. And he stopped us from hearing the screeching sounds of Angela yelling and screaming and hollering at you. So I'm so excited that worked out. But of course, all good things, as you know, with this couple and most people, usually comes to a screeching halt or an end, or at least a shift. In this case, it almost became to an end. Because you remember that they start talking, and then how somehow they hop right on to Billy. You remember Billy, that tick-tocketing duetty crush that Angela had? Right. So, Angela had left us with basically saying out of the previous episode in counseling that she was going to go to Canada to see good old Billy. And, at the end of the day, Michael was not trying to hear any of that. So, of course, they talk about that, and, we get to the point of saying, well, why don't we just go give Billy a call? Because that's always good to do a video call. And it also gives Michael an opportunity for him and Billy to meet face to face, so he can see him and he can see him. So they do that. Now, of course, Michael knows all about the crush that Angela's had on Billy, right? Because the fact that she felt that because he was not paying her the attention that he needed, or that she needed rather, and deserved, that's why she went and did what she did and went and got herself a crush. So Michael does feel somewhat responsible for this, but he also wants to fix the situation. So that's what he's going to do. So they get on the video call. Billy seems like a very nice guy, and and true to form, not everything is what it seems, and not everything is said is what it is, right? Because then somehow we find out, well, that crush was not reciprocated. because Billy didn't feel the same way about Angela. And I'll be honest with you, I was actually very happy about that, because I think that it would have caused even more dissension, if that was possible, if both Billy and Angela were crushing on each other. You see what I'm saying? Because it was unrequited crush, it made it a lot easier for nothing to have happened. Now, of course, Angela is, swearing up and down that she doesn't feel this crush anymore. So for her, it's over. It was a momentary lapse in judgment because she was not getting what she needed from Michael. Now, Michael, in his true to form, which I love it because I love someone who doesn't beat around the bush. He goes right in for the gusto. He's nice and kind at first, and he actually stayed nice and kind. There was no reason to go off on Billy. Billy isn't the problem here, right? So he basically says, hey, so what about this crush on my wife? I know about this crush. How do you feel? And oh my gosh, I know that made Billy feel like, oh my God, what the heck this man is talking about? Because he didn't have a crush on her. He didn't feel the same way. So that was a nice little cliffhanger moment for Angela and Michael's time on that episode. So yeah, it was left at the fact that, at the end of the day, it was a one-sided crush. That was a good thing. And Angela was so embarrassed because he brought it up in the phone call because he wanted to get to the bottom of things. And wouldn't that be what Angela does? Likes to get to the bottom of things. May I reflect back on his car that she's had to repair, his home that she was probably going to take down to twigs, and all the screaming and hollering in his town in Nigeria. So I would have thought that Angela would have been appreciative of Michael wanting to get to the bottom of things. So yeah, what were your thoughts? Did you guys enjoy the calming trip that they had? Or when I say trip, was really a romantic tryst of the pool. Did you enjoy the peace and quiet that we had for a moment? Like the tempered voices? I mean, it was great for me. I enjoyed it. Sometimes you get a headache, and quite frankly, I was in rest and recuperation, and I needed to have the time of peace and quiet. So yeah, I was happy about that. So I'd love to know your thoughts. Did you enjoy that quiet time? Did you think Michael did a good job? What would you give Michael, 1 to 10, on his choice of romantic interludes? I do think the gift was a nice choice. Yeah, that was definitely a nice choice. Definitely a nice touch. And so yeah, tell me what your thoughts are on that. And what do you think about the bombshell that we all find that Billy wasn't crushing on Angela like that? No, it really was an unrequited crush. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts? Do you think Angela deserved to be embarrassed? I do. Because she's been embarrassing all of us with her antics over there. So, yeah, I think sometimes it's good to get a little taste of how it feels when it's uncomfortable. But I have a funny feeling, though, that Angela's one of those who, you know what? It doesn't matter if she's doing it. It only matters if you're doing it to her. So, yeah, nevertheless, though, that's pretty much what wrapped up the November 27th episode. So, yeah, definitely leave your thoughts down below in the comment section. Let's have a conversation about it. Love to know your thoughts about Ed and Liz's time with the party and the family get together. Love to know what you think about Yara Jovi and his insecurities. Do you think he's right? Do you think she's right? I would love to know, your thoughts on whether or not, they should do some kind of compromise. I mean, that's what I think anyways. And Michael, do you think that he batted 100 out of that? I mean, really, scale from 1 to 10 though. What do you think about the date? The romantic time. Look, for me, any time that they're not arguing and screaming, I think is a good thing. So yeah, I give him 2 thumbs up. So yeah, I think that about wraps it up for this recap here for 90 Days Happily Ever After. Big old question mark. And yeah, I hope that you enjoyed this conversation. And yeah, again, let me know your thoughts about the couples in that episode. Drop them down in that comment section. Let's have a conversation about it. And of course, if you're new, make sure that you are subscribed. And everybody, make sure you have your notification bells on, because I will have some other tea-dropping 90-day videos. Really just my thoughts and my recaps and reviews of those. And yeah, we'll talk about it some more. So be on the lookout. Of course, the other couples from this particular episode already on the platform. So if you hadn't had a chance, go ahead and take a listen to that, or watch to that rather, and let me know your comments about those as well. And yeah, I think again that wraps it up. I wish for you a blessed rest of your day, blessed rest of your week. Come back and see me. And until next time, bye.